Have you ever looked at someone well past 60 who just seems to radiate a gentle glow of happiness, calm, and energy, while others around the same age appear weighed down by constant frustrations and regrets? Maybe you've caught yourself wondering why some people keep that hopeful spark while others seem to grow bitter with each passing year. The truth is, this difference in mood and outlook isn't random luck. It doesn't come down to money alone or to whether they've had an easy life. It often comes down to the thoughts running through their minds day after day, shaping the way they see themselves, the people around them, and the future ahead. Our mind can be a powerful ally or a relentless saboteur, especially in our later years when so many life changes are in motion. If you've ever found yourself slipping into patterns of thought that feel draining or negative, trust me, you're not alone. The good news is that you can learn to spot these mental traps and stop them before they steal your happiness. So stay with me until the end of this talk, because that's where I'll share a key insight that can help you swiftly pivot away from these destructive thoughts whenever they threaten to creep back. By the time we're done, you'll have practical strategies to shake off old mental habits and reclaim a sense of optimism, peace, and joy no matter what stage of life you're in. And while you're here, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel and give a thumbs up to this video, because your support helps us keep creating content that empowers people just like you to find lasting happiness after 60 and beyond. Now let's dive in and explore how your mindset might be quietly robbing you of the contentment you deserve. Picture yourself waking up in the morning. For a brief moment, everything feels calm, but then your mind clicks on. Perhaps you start dwelling on a past conflict with an old friend or relative. Or maybe you focus on a small ache in your back and lament how aging feels unfair. Those initial thoughts can set the tone for the whole day, shaping your emotions and actions from breakfast until bedtime. If the thoughts are gracious, forward-looking, or tinged with gratitude, you might move through the day with ease, even if obstacles arise. But if those first thoughts are laced with resentment, dread, or self-pity, you may notice your energy drains more quickly, you feel irritated at little things, or you interpret any challenge as yet another confirmation that life has gone downhill. That's how powerful our mindset can be. It filters every moment we experience. Some folks over 60 don't realize they've drifted into unhelpful thought habits, as these habits often creep in gradually, like an old sweater that fits snugly at first but grows holes you don't notice until there's a chill in the air. If you suspect something similar might be happening to you, or if you simply want to fortify yourself against toxic thinking, keep listening. One of the most damaging patterns that can quietly sabotage your happiness after 60 is the "it's too late for me" mindset. This is where you silently tell yourself that your best years are behind you, that any chance for adventure, self-improvement, or meaningful change has passed. Maybe you once had dreams of learning a musical instrument, traveling somewhere exotic, or writing a memoir, but you shelved those ideas during your busy years. Now you might assume you can't possibly begin them in your 60s or 70s. But is that really true? You've probably heard inspiring stories of people who only started painting at 65 or who learned a new language at 70. The difference is that those people refuse to let the "it's too late" thought take root in their minds. Instead of focusing on the time they'd already lost, they focused on the time they still had. By doing so, they freed themselves to explore undiscovered abilities. The real problem with "it's too late for me" is that it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you believe you're out of time, you stop trying new things, and naturally, life becomes narrower and more repetitive. You rob yourself of fresh joys, new friends, and exciting skills you might acquire. The remedy is to challenge that thought every time it shows up. When you hear your inner voice say, "I'm too old to learn this," ask, according to whom? Just because you didn't start earlier doesn't mean you can't start now. And if you're enjoying these insights, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow, and we'll be talking more about practical ways to beat negative thoughts in future videos. Another hidden mindset trap is, "everything was better in the past." This is where your mind romanticizes your younger years and views the present as a disappointing echo. Maybe you recall the excitement of raising children, the sense of purpose you had in a career, or the physical vitality you once took for granted. Now, on a bad day, you might find yourself concluding that the best part of your life is over, The risk here is that this nostalgia blinds you to the blessings and possibilities of the present moment. It can also cause you to filter every new experience through the lens of, not as good as it used to be. While it's natural to cherish happy memories, what if you started noticing what's good about your life today? For instance, maybe you have more free time or the wisdom to handle conflict more gracefully. Perhaps you have greater patience to savor simple joys, like a sunset or a conversation with a grandchild. When the "everything was better in the past" thought arises, gently remind yourself that each stage of life has its unique gifts. You might not be chasing a toddler around anymore, but you could have deeper insights into relationships or a calmer approach to daily challenges. By focusing on the perks of your current stage, you reclaim the ability to appreciate what's in front of you. This shift doesn't mean you reject your past, it means you stop letting nostalgia overshadow the blessings of now. A third mindset that sours happiness is, "I have to prove I'm still relevant." We live in a culture that often celebrates youth, making older adults feel unseen or undervalued. That can lead to a subtle feeling that you must keep up or outdo younger people to matter. Maybe you push yourself too hard physically or emotionally, just to demonstrate you've still got it. Or you feel jealous when younger colleagues or relatives accomplish things you never did. Ironically, this chase to prove yourself can erode your peace and satisfaction with who you already are. You don't need to win a competition or hustle nonstop to be worthy of respect. Your years of lived experience, your unique perspective, and your presence can be enough. If you find yourself resenting younger folks or overexerting yourself to show them you're not past your prime, ask yourself what you truly want. Do you want to do that 5K race because you enjoy running, or just to prove a point? If it's purely about external validation, you may be draining yourself without truly feeding your spirit. The flip side is, if you genuinely love a challenge or want to keep physically active, go for it. Just let it be about your own fulfillment rather than a desperate bid to avoid seeming irrelevant. You can free yourself from this exhausting loop by grounding your self-worth in your inherent value, not in how many tasks you accomplish or how you measure up to someone half your age. Of course, if you want more in-depth discussions about finding meaning and confidence after 60, remember to like this video. It really does help. Another toxic pattern that drains joy is, "Nobody understands me anymore." As we get older, we may find that some younger people don't relate to our references, or that old friends scatter due to moves or health changes. We might experience a sense of isolation. If we're not careful, that feeling can morph into a belief that no one truly appreciates or sees us. Once that belief sets in, it's easy to withdraw from social opportunities, which only fuels more isolation. The tragedy is that shutting down your willingness to connect almost guarantees that you'll miss out on meeting new people who could understand you perfectly well, just in a different way. Humans have an incredible capacity for empathy and friendship across generations, but you have to stay open. If you catch yourself concluding that, "Nobody wants to hear my stories," or "No one in this new club will get my humor," challenge that assumption. Maybe the first conversation is awkward, but by the second or third time you see those people, you'll be swapping laughs about something unexpected. Also, try focusing on listening to others, not just waiting for them to ask about your life. Genuine curiosity goes a long way in bridging generational or cultural gaps. You might discover shared interests or experiences you never saw coming. People of any age appreciate feeling heard, and that fosters bonds. Resist the urge to assume you're automatically dismissed or that you're incapable of relating to them. If you're open-minded, you might be pleasantly surprised at how many folks are eager to connect with someone who has your life experience. A fifth destructive way of thinking is, "I should just endure my problems quietly." Many of us were raised in times or cultures where complaining was frowned upon, or where seeking help was considered weak. So if you have a health issue, a conflict in your family, or a nagging sense of loneliness, you might believe the best approach is to grin and bear it. But internalizing all that stress can wear you down mentally and physically. There's a difference between whining about every inconvenience and expressing genuine concerns or pain that needs addressing. Bottling everything up can lead to resentment, depression, or even physical ailments. Maybe you avoid telling your adult children about your financial struggles because you don't want to be a burden, but in doing so, you miss the chance for them to step up or share ideas. Or you might keep your emotional pain hidden because you think, "I'm an adult, I should be able to handle this." It's worth remembering that healthy communication, therapy, or simply confiding in a friend can provide relief and fresh perspectives. Asking for help or admitting vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness. It's often a testament to your wisdom, that you recognize when you've reached your limit and could benefit from support. When the "I should just endure it" voice pops up, ask yourself if that approach is truly serving your well-being or if it's just reinforcing a cycle of silent suffering. Encouraging conversation can lead to solutions you never knew were out there. And if you want more insights on improving relationships or emotional health after 60, consider subscribing to this channel, because we delve into these topics frequently. Another subtle but damaging mindset is, "I don't deserve happiness now that I'm older." This one often sneaks in after life transitions. A spouse passes away, children move far away, or you retire and feel aimless. You might start believing that all the good times you had were in the past, so there's not much point in cultivating new joys or experiences. This can be tied to feelings of guilt or unworthiness, as though you've outlived your right to celebrate life. Nothing could be further from the truth. Every phase of life includes the right to seek joy, pleasure, and meaningful relationships. Aging doesn't disqualify you from happiness, just as being young doesn't guarantee it. You might have endured losses or heartbreaks, but that doesn't diminish your value or your capacity for pleasure. If you catch yourself resisting fun invitations or new hobbies, thinking, "I shouldn't indulge in that, it's for younger people," pause and question that logic. Why not you? Sometimes society's stereotypes about older adults not having fun or romance can seep into our own beliefs, but they're not rooted in reality. Plenty of seniors fall in love, discover new passions, or pick up new activities well into their 70s or 80s. Remind yourself that you're allowed to smile, laugh, and enjoy life just as much as anyone else. Release the notion that your time for happiness has expired. Instead, embrace each day as a fresh opportunity to find moments of delight, no matter how small. A seventh negative thinking habit that quietly sabotages your well-being is, "I must compare my life to others." It's easy to slip into measuring your retirement, finances, health, or family situation against the next person's. Perhaps you see someone your age who's traveling the world and think you've failed because you can't afford it or don't have the energy for it. Or you notice a friend who seems to have a large, adoring family, and you feel lacking because your kids are too busy to visit often. Comparing rarely leads to peace. It tends to spark envy, bitterness, or a sense of being behind. This is especially prevalent now that social media can show us curated snapshots of others' seemingly perfect golden years. We might forget that behind those pictures, everyone has struggles. Instead of focusing on who's doing what, turn your attention to gratitude for what you do have. If you struggle physically, is there a supportive neighbor or an enjoyable pastime that still lights you up? If you don't have a big family, can you build a circle of close friends or neighbors who feel like family in their own way? By focusing on progress, not perfection, and on personal fulfillment rather than competition, you free yourself to enjoy your unique journey. No two paths look the same, nor should they. The real measure is whether you're living in alignment with your values, taking care of your well-being, and staying open to new joys. If you ever catch that comparing voice, gently redirect it by identifying 3 things you're genuinely grateful for in your own life, no matter how small. This habit can diffuse envy or discontent before they take hold. If you resonate with this, be sure to like the video because your feedback encourages us to keep sharing practical ways to cultivate a happier mindset. Now that we've outlined these toxic thinking habits, it's vital to realize that none of us is immune to them. Even the most upbeat person can sometimes slip into self-limiting beliefs or nostalgia that dampens current joys. But the difference lies in catching ourselves quickly and learning how to pivot. You might be wondering, how do I actually shift these thoughts when they come up? One approach is mindful awareness. The moment you detect a negative script playing in your mind, like, "It's too late," or "I'm too old to matter," pause and label it. I'm having the thought that it's too late. Notice the difference between "this is reality" and "I'm having a thought about reality." That small shift can weaken the hold the thought has on you. Then challenge it. Ask, is this 100% true, or could there be another perspective? If your friend told you she was learning guitar at 65, would you say it was too late for her? Probably not. So why apply that harsh standard to yourself? Another technique is to replace the negative thought with a more balanced one. For instance, if you hear, "Everything was better before," you could say, "I cherish my memories, but I also believe new joys are possible right now." Over time, these conscious replacements form healthier mental pathways. Also remember that staying engaged physically and socially can buffer you against destructive thought cycles. When you're active in a hobby, volunteering, or learning something new, your mind is more focused on the present and future than on regrets or fears. The sense of belonging and purpose that comes from these engagements naturally reduces the space in your mind for gloom. If you think of your mind like a garden, new, healthy habits are like planting vibrant flowers. They crowd out the weeds of toxic thinking. If you want more guidance on building routines that keep you mentally strong, subscribe to this channel, because we frequently share actionable tips on crafting a fulfilling lifestyle after 60. To address the "nobody understands me" concern, try joining a local group where people have shared interests, be it gardening, bird watching, or a book club. If you're more tech-savvy, many online communities exist for seniors to connect based on hobbies or experiences. Engaging in group activities fosters a sense of camaraderie and helps you see how universal many of your feelings are. You might also be pleasantly surprised to find younger folks who respect your perspective and yearn for intergenerational friendships. The key is to remain open instead of deciding in advance that it's impossible. If you're stuck in, endure it quietly. Consider confiding in a friend or family member who seems empathetic. Or look for support groups, especially if you're dealing with grief, chronic illness, or a family conflict. Even talking to a mental health counselor can be a huge release, giving you coping strategies. By speaking openly, you reduce the sense of isolation. The result is often emotional relief, fresh solutions, or at least a sense that you're not alone in your challenges. Holding everything in might feel stoic, but it also allows negativity to fester. For the "I don't deserve happiness" mindset, work on self-compassion. You might keep a journal and note each day one small act of kindness you can show yourself. Maybe it's enjoying a walk in a beautiful park, preparing a comforting meal, or simply letting yourself laugh at a silly movie without guilt. Nurturing yourself is not selfish. It recharges you, letting you show up with more warmth and resilience for others in your life. If guilt or shame bubble up, remind yourself that your existence alone merits care and affection. You've spent a lifetime contributing to the world in small or big ways, so allowing yourself joy isn't optional, it's essential. The older you are, the more you've earned the right to savor the moment. For the "I must compare my life to others" trap, the best remedy is gratitude. A quick practice could be each morning, listing 3 things you feel thankful for. Maybe it's your cozy chair, a neighbor who drops by, the ability to still read novels, or your morning coffee's aroma. Gratitude doesn't erase problems, but it shifts your attention to what's working well, creating a buffer against envy or bitterness. Instead of scrolling through social media to see how other people are living, devote that time to journaling, calling a loved one, or learning a new skill online. Active engagement in your own life reduces the pull of comparison. After all, the only relevant metric is how aligned you are with your own values and joys. Now, I want to share that final insight I hinted at. The quickest way to flip a harmful thought pattern is often through small, consistent actions that contradict the negative belief. That means rather than fighting the thought in your head, you do something in real life that challenges its validity. If you hear, "It's too late for me," sign up for a short workshop, like pottery or photography, just to see if you enjoy it. Prove to yourself it's not too late. If you feel, "Nobody understands me," invite someone out for coffee or join a community group, effectively giving yourself evidence that new connections are possible. If your mind says, "I don't deserve happiness," Do something kind for yourself, like booking a massage or spending an afternoon on a personal interest, reaffirming that you are indeed worth the effort. Actions speak louder than thoughts. By showing yourself that your negative assumptions aren't absolute truths, you weaken their grip on your mind. This action-oriented approach often leads to a self-reinforcing cycle of positivity. You try one new thing, you realize you enjoyed it or learned something, and your old limiting belief begins to crack. Then you become bolder, open to even more possibilities. Slowly but steadily, your mental landscape transforms. Of course, you may still feel anxious or uncertain at times, especially if it's been a while since you branched out. But as the saying goes, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. Your mind might try to sabotage you, but you can keep going and see what happens anyway. Usually, the world doesn't end. In fact, you often discover a renewed sense of life. In discussing these 7 toxic thoughts, we're not trying to put blame on anyone for having them. The human mind naturally tries to protect itself from perceived threats or regrets. But unchecked, these mental narratives can take a heavy toll. By naming them, we bring them into the light. Once recognized, they're easier to counter with healthier perspectives. If you ever find yourself stuck again, revisit this talk. Remind yourself that negative thinking patterns might be sneaky, but they're not unstoppable. And if you believe more people need to hear this message, share this video with someone who might be struggling or about to slip into a more negative state of mind. Another helpful tip is to surround yourself with uplifting influences. Read books that celebrate resilience in older age, watch content that inspires personal growth, or spend time with friends who focus on solutions rather than complaints. The environment around us plays a major role in shaping our mindset. If your social circle is dominated by folks who constantly moan about every ache and problem, that vibe can seep into your thinking. Meanwhile, if you spend time with those who approach challenges creatively, you're more likely to adopt that spirit. This doesn't mean you abandon friends who are going through tough times, but you might want to balance those relationships by seeking out more positive interactions. Just as healthy food nourishes your body, healthy mental inputs nourish your mind. On the flip side, be mindful of how you might inadvertently spread negativity. If you catch yourself complaining without seeking solutions, pause and ask if you're reinforcing toxic patterns in yourself or in others. Sometimes you can break the negativity cycle by simply shifting the conversation. Yes, we have these issues, but what can we do about them? Or, despite the challenges, what bright spots have you noticed in your day? It might feel awkward at first, but positivity can be contagious if you're patient and consistent. When you have the courage to rewire your thinking after 60, you create a ripple effect in your family and community. Younger relatives might see you refusing to give in to bitterness or despair, and they'll learn from your example that aging doesn't have to mean losing hope. Friends might notice your new energy and realize they can also break free of negative habits. Even casual acquaintances may find themselves cheered by your presence. You become a beacon of what's possible, reminding everyone that mindset can trump circumstance. That's why it's crucial not to let yourself off the hook by saying, "I'm old, I can't change my ways." Neuroscience shows that the brain retains some plasticity throughout life, meaning new thought patterns can form no matter your age. It might take some repetition and conscious effort, but it's entirely doable. Every day is another chance to practice. Over time, you'll notice that the negative thoughts lose their sting, that you bounce back from disappointments faster, and that you develop a more balanced view of your past, present, and future. Don't forget that if you want more tips on keeping your mind fit and your outlook bright after 60, subscribing to this channel and liking this video is a fantastic way to stay connected. We'll continue exploring ways to enrich your life, from managing stress and anxiety to nurturing fulfilling relationships and hobbies. We're building a supportive community of individuals who refuse to let age define their happiness, so stick around and invite others to join us. As we near the close of this discussion, let's review a few essential reminders to keep fresh in your mind. You're not too old to try something new. The past can be cherished without letting it overshadow the present. Your relevance doesn't hinge on anyone else's standards. You can find understanding if you remain open to new connections. Bottling up problems leads to frustration, so allow yourself to reach out. You deserve happiness as much now as ever before. Comparing your life to others is a surefire route to misery, and the fastest way to break these cycles is through consistent, real-world actions that challenge limiting beliefs. Finally, the big takeaway is that your mind is incredibly powerful. Treat it like an ally rather than letting it become a saboteur. Every day, you can nudge yourself toward an outlook that fosters gratitude, curiosity, empathy, and self-compassion. Through baby steps, you can reshape your mental landscape. And when those old negative patterns pop up, you can say, I recognize you, and gently steer your thoughts in a healthier direction. The more you practice, the more second nature it becomes. I hope you feel encouraged and equipped to try these ideas in your own life. But before you go, here's the special part 1 promise. The real secret to lasting change is to recheck your mindset daily, not just once in a blue moon. Consider placing a small note on your bathroom mirror or fridge, reminding you of the mental habit you're trying to overcome. For instance, I'm never too old for new joys. Or, I choose gratitude over comparison. Read it each morning and evening. This small act cements your commitment to positivity. Over time, you'll see a remarkable difference. So remember to check in with yourself regularly, refining your thoughts just as you'd maintain a garden, pulling weeds whenever they appear, so the flowers of contentment and resilience can flourish. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for caring enough about your well-being to learn new ways of thinking. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing and liking this video, because your engagement helps ensure we can keep creating content that supports a vibrant, fulfilling life at every age. We love hearing your experiences too, so feel free to share in the comments any breakthroughs you have as you practice letting go of these toxic thought patterns. And as you move forward, take heart in knowing you're not alone. Countless others have broken free from limiting beliefs, found renewed happiness, and discovered that life after 60 can be every bit as rich and purposeful as any other chapter. You hold the key in your mind. Don't let fear or habit keep that door locked. Push it open, step through, and see what wonder awaits.